Chicos! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new around here, my name's Angela. I've been documenting my journey learning Spanish with Dreaming Spanish. Today is my 800-hour casual chit-chat update. Speedrunning the method, so I am doing 5 hours every day of Spanish input. Story of my life, I wasn't planning on coming back so early. I already have a lot to share. For someone who's gonna be watching that's not speedrunning, the jump between 600 and 1,000 hours could be well over a year. Let me just give you a little update in between. Por cierto, traigo un nuevo look. ¿Qué opinan ustedes? ¿Les gusta? Dime en los comentarios. And the whole reason I mention it is because the reason I impulsively chop my hair shorter than it's ever been in my life is related to my Spanish learning journey. I'm going to share more later. Plans for today's video start with a general overview, talk about my reading journey. Probably a big chunk of this video is going to be me sharing about my short-lived but pretty severe burnout that I faced, what I learned from it, and then my plan moving forward. I say this in every video. Things are getting better and better, and every time I reach a new milestone, I'm like, wow, I thought I was far during the last one, but now it's even better. It's become very tangible how much you understand. I've started to feel confused if I'm listening in English or Spanish. If I'm trying to remember something that I watched, I'll be like, was that in Spanish or was that in English? I can't tell you how many times I really want to send this content or this creator to a friend that only speaks English, And then I'm mind blown. My friend will never be able to know this person or this content creator or whatever it is or this video in the way that I know it, because they don't speak Spanish. This has started happening even more now that I'm onto native content, because I found some of my favorite creators, favorite podcasts, and so many times I'm ready to send it to a friend. And I'm like, oh my God, it feels like a total flip in the matrix. Every single time something happens that reminds me that I'm watching completely in Spanish. I was watching this vlog. These girls who were on a trip to Chicago and they're from Mexico. They're in the hotel and they were calling for room service. They ended up hanging up and they were laughing so hard. They couldn't speak in English to ask for what they wanted. And I had to pause the video. I was like, this is crazy. Wait. They don't speak English. It's obviously, but you just get it's so normalized. Not, oh, right now I'm watching Spanish and it's clear I'm watching Spanish. It's just so normal and flows so naturally. This also goes for outputting, because I was speaking to a restaurant worker one time and I had only planned to ask one thing in Spanish and then do the rest in English. But then at the end of the conversation, I had realized that I was outputting in Spanish. Without kind of really realizing it. It's just, you're so used to hearing Spanish. I could forget. I was like, did he speak to me in Spanish? Was I just speaking with him in Spanish and it was fine? It becomes so mixed together. It's not oh, English right now and Spanish right now. It's just they get kind of mixed up. That's what I mean, where it just feels very tangible. At least comprehension wise. I'll get into speaking later, but it's just wow, I really can understand Spanish now. Okay, let's move on to reading. I'm going to try to be a little bit brief on this. I started reading right around 600 hours. My goal is 30 minutes a day. I set a timer and everything, and I read out loud. Probably 4 or 5 times a week, I'm hitting my goal of reading 30 minutes out loud. The books that I have read so far are from Juan Fernandez, or Español con Juan, better known by a lot of you. So I've read Hola Lola and Un Hombre Fascinante. Reading out loud has been super enjoyable for me, and I definitely recommend it. It just felt really good to start trying to pronounce these words that you've been hearing for hundreds and hundreds of hours. Trying to get the ball rolling a little bit with your own pronunciation and making the sounds that are supposed to be made. The first week of reading out loud was super hard. I was fatiguing out so quick. Very first day, it took me a long time to even get through the very first page. I remember it was kind of funny. I kept laughing because you're reading and you can understand what you're reading. But the problem is you're trying to say the words how they should sound, and they're just kind of not really coming out the way that you know that they should. And so it was a lot of trying to repeat the words to make them sound closer to what you know they should be sounding like. My mouth wanted to be done speaking because I have to kind of work to say words aren't easy for you to say. But by the second week, you start to see improvement, and yeah, it's been really good. I could see pretty much right away why people say reading in general is so beneficial. All these little words you're missing when you're listening, seeing them spelled out really has helped me. And also the word that I've heard before, but I'm like, oh, I didn't know it was spelled like that. And overall, I definitely recommend reading. It's been enjoyable. It's way more enjoyable reading in Spanish. Now I really want to share with you guys my mini burnout that I had and all the things I learned from it. How I want to describe it is perfect storm created my burnout. The first thing in the storm, the first ingredient. This has been my longest hobby yet. I'm coming up on 7 or 8 months, and for the better chunk of that, I've been speedrunning and doing 4 or 5 hours every day. Next up, I'm not really watching DS videos as much anymore. Maybe the new one that came out that day, but other than that, so the 5 hours, my own. I'd say the all day, everyday decision fatigue in and of itself was very tiring and starting to burn me out. Average content, podcast or video being 15 minutes. I have to make that decision 20 times every day. Finding something new to watch, making sure it's something that I'll at least be a little bit interested in so I pay attention. Just getting really tiring. Next up, what I'm about to mention, looking back, I can see that this is the biggest driving force that drove me straight into my burnout. Before I hit 600 hours, I kind of thought maybe I would really start speaking right at 600 hours. If you watched my 600 hour update, you guys know I decided to hold off a little bit, but it was like something shifted in my mind the second I hit 600 hours that you're now in the range where you could be speaking. This messed with me way more than I thought. Picture it like this. I start reading. Every time I'm reading something, I'm like, would you be able to produce that sentence yourself? Every time I'm listening to something, I understand it perfectly and like no problems at all. But that's not good enough now because you're in the range where you could be speaking. So it's like I'm overthinking everything. Every time I'm watching something, I'm thinking everything that they're saying, everything they're explaining, could you produce that sentence yourself? Because
you're in the range where you could be speaking.
In the back of my mind, this going on 24/7 for 5 hours every day, it took a toll on me that I did not realize was happening. I kept thinking, well, you should go to the conversation club. Like, you're going to go this week? Are you going to try this week? And so constantly it was like this thing pressuring me. When are you going to start speaking? Could you speak? Go to the club this week. Start this week. Start a tutoring session this week. Made my Spanish learning journey not fun during this time. What happened next, quickly entered into what I want to call DS survival mode. I shut off everything that I knew. I'm going to do the bare minimum to not give up on this hobby. I'm going to give you my 5 hours, but not a minute more. Don't you even think you're getting a second extra? Number 2, I'm going to watch whatever the frick I can muster up to watch. At this time, it was like, I don't have time to be thinking about,
oh, this could be more comprehensible. And
you're going to get whatever the frick I can give you, and that's it. That was like my mentality during this burnout, during this like survival mode that I had suddenly entered. Yeah, for about 2 weeks, which you might be like, that's not that much. 5 hours a day, okay? This looked like pure YouTube vlogs. A big chunk, I was deep into Shannon Lehman's vlogs, which is Coreano Vlog's wife. I don't know, I just became like obsessed, and I think it was like I'm enjoying her content. Her videos are 20 minutes or longer. I don't have to think about what I'm watching next. Like, it's just gonna go to the next video and I'm gonna enjoy it. And on top of that, this is like just feels wrong, and it feels wrong to say. Guys, I was even like putting on the YouTube video when I wasn't sitting down to watch it. I was like listening to it podcast style, like a freaking YouTube vlog, listening to it podcast style. I told you I was in survival mode, okay? This is what survival mode was looking like. Basically, it almost took me to the point of burnout to actually just like chill out. Let the method do what the method does, you know? And back to my haircut thing. When you are 4 years deep into someone's YouTube videos, you see them with a lot of different hairstyles. At least that's what I was experiencing watching Shannon's videos. And being around her so much, I guess it just rubbed off on me, and I randomly was like, I want to cut all my hair off. During this time of burnout, in the back of my mind was like this fear. What's even going on with my Spanish learning journey? I probably should be watching something a little more comprehensible. All these thoughts, yet at the same time, like I'm already in burnout. And so it was like I'm noticing these thoughts, but also I didn't have energy to do anything about it. Finally, something clicked. Totally changed the game for me. It all started when I was walking around my house, started narrating my day, which I already was doing a little bit here and there in Spanish. But I was realizing I could start speaking in Spanish and then really drag it out, like way more than I was able to before. I was noticing that I would be narrating my day in Spanish without even really realizing it. A few minutes later, I'd be like, oh, wow, you were just like speaking Spanish. And I just had this much needed revelation. It's always been the method that works. Nothing extra that you're adding on to it, extra emotion, extra energy, extra nothing. Method plus nothing that works, period. Also realized during this time that just a few weeks prior, these filler words and things that I was reading and scared that I couldn't pronounce on my own at that time, well, now I'm just saying them naturally. And all it took was more input. The moment I started stressing and that fear kind of started coming in, the very first time that it felt like I had come up against a hard wall in my Spanish learning journey. And honestly, it wasn't fun. Like it was not fun anymore. It felt like nothing was flowing the way that it has been flowing this far. But as soon as I hit my burnout and then from there decided to just keep letting things flow the way that they always have and trust the method, the wall was completely removed. At 600 hours, it would be way too hard for me to start speaking. It would be like painful, honestly. At 800 hours now, I'm feeling so much more comfortable. Like if I had to start speaking right now, it would be way more comfortable than at 600 hours, which I think says a lot about method and even the recommendations of the roadmap. For this reason, have decided to wait until 1,000 hours to really start speaking. For me, that is only a little over a month away. At 1,000 hours versus 600 hours, you literally almost have double the input. From nothing to 600 hours, you almost have that all over again to get to 1,000 hours. Imagine how much better your foundation of the language is. And therefore, of course, starting to speak is going to be completely different. I see so many people on the Reddit that are just like all worked up about the smallest things. And I was the same way. And it really took this burnout to realize, oh, wow, the method works. Really nothing that you're adding to it to make it work. It just works. Enjoy the journey. Don't stress out so much about what you're watching, what you're not watching. Magic is simply the method itself, and it's been working for years and years, even behind the scenes. All the people that have learned English as a byproduct of growing up playing video games, watching Netflix. They didn't even know the method was working. It wasn't their intention, and here they are. We are just getting so worked up, and me and myself, stress that I recently faced and almost took me out. I'm so glad that I had this revelation finally that I've been overthinking everything. Just chill out, enjoy, and you're gonna get there. In closing, I am completely mind blown at my comprehension abilities. Genuinely feels like I have tricked the system or something. 7 months ago, I knew zero Spanish, and now enjoying so much content completely in Spanish. This method has done more for me than I ever in my wildest dreams could have imagined, let alone in less than a year. I'm mind blown that my year has looked like this. No intentions of trying to learn Spanish, and the fact that I just fell into this and now I'm out here really learning Spanish is amazing. And I think that we should never downplay how important it is to have comprehension of the language. I'm telling you, those who use the Dreaming Spanish method, we have it down. I think it's such a gift, and I don't think it should be overlooked when we are talking about our Spanish learning journey, even though, of course, speaking is so important, and I'm excited to give you guys a speaking update just around the corner. I plan to start pushing the gas pedal on speaking right at 1,000 hours, really grind with that to get to 1,500 hours, which is when I will be in Mexico. I am not set on what platform I'll be using for speaking it. I'm still doing a little bit of research. Price range is crazy between a lot of them. Use a platform that you love. Please leave it below. Let me know. End of this video, at the end of my outro, I'm going to talk about a little bit of content that I'm like obsessed with right now or that I'm like super hyper focused on. But other than that, this is the end. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! This feels kind of like a fun little segment. Maybe I'll start doing this. And then the people who are like don't want to watch anymore, they can hop off. But for those who are interested in whatever content I'm liking at the time, this is for you. Current hyper focus is all things South Korea, but also relating to Mexico. I don't know how I fell into this like niche right now, but I am obsessed. I'm actually part Korean, and I also studied abroad in South Korea for 6 months. And so I love South Korea and miss it so much. But I also love Mexico. So the merging of two of my favorite places and cultures has just been so fulfilling. I can't even explain it. And my favorite podcast of all time is called Coreanitos. 2 Korean guys and 1 Mexican, but they all speak perfect Mexican Spanish. If you are in the advanced level videos, please check it out. I love it so much. So random. Every time they come out with a new episode, I'm laughing so hard. And the funny thing is, I found them through Instagram Reels. A clip of one of their podcasts had come up on my page, and I watched it. I was laughing so hard, and I've been watching them ever since. For one, you guys know Shannon is married to Coreano Vlogs, who's fully Korean, but they live in Mexico together. So I feel like their channels introduced me to a lot more content, like Christian Burgos, no sé. He is a Mexican living in Korea, the most famous Mexican in Korea. He knows Korean. He has his own channel with a ton of different videos and interviews with other people that speak Spanish over there in Korea. Deep diving into his content, all of Coreano Vlogs content, travel content. I think that's all for my current obsessions. I'm still watching sermons and other things that I mentioned in my last video or that I put in the description box. But yeah, I'm deep into Korean content and loving every second of it. We'll see what I'm into at my 1,000-hour video in a month, because I guarantee it'll be different. I'll see you then. Double bye. This is like a Minnesota goodbye. I don't know if you guys know, but in Minnesota, we say Minnesota goodbye because we seriously say goodbye like 100 times. We'll say goodbye, but then we're standing at the front door. We're still talking even more, and we like say goodbye again. But then we're outside, and we're like still not leaving. And so that's what this feels like. But goodbye, round 2. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Change of plans. I'm back. I just had to show you guys this. All these beautiful fall colors. This is where I was parked to record my video. Look how beautiful. Okay, now it really is a Minnesota goodbye. Bye!